My elder sister, noble and virtuous, was the most dazzling noblewoman in the capital, destined from birth to be a noble bride. She was unassuming and gentle as chrysanthemums, captivating every man in the city. My fiancé was no exception. Yet she chose a penniless hunter instead. I pleaded gently, I hear that Hunter has a terrible temper. Besides, it's a mismatch of social standing. You'll suffer if you marry him. My elder sister gave me a faint glance and admonished me, what's wrong with a life of indifference to fame and fortune, like a cloud or a crane? Our grandfather lived with integrity. Had he lived to see your pursuit of fame and fortune, your climbing over others to reach higher, he would surely disapprove. I was speechless. Within a year, she divorced the hunter and returned to the Prime Minister's residence. On the eve of my wedding to Prince Rui, my elder sister performed a breathtaking dance that stole his heart, leading to a night of passion. The next day, she entered the Prince Rui's residence in a grand palanquin, crowned with phoenix ornaments and robes of honor, as his legitimate wife. I, however, became a secondary concubine. Sharing in her glory, I plotted for her, shielded her from open and hidden attacks, becoming the target of everyone's resentment. Later, framed by other concubines, I knelt begging my elder sister to prove my innocence. She brushed my hand aside, justice lies in the hearts of the people. If you've done nothing wrong, they won't trouble you. I was tortured to death by Prince Rui. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day of her matchmaking ball. In the capital, noble daughters were married by parental decree and matchmaker's word, but my elder sister was different, she insisted on choosing her own husband. My elder sister, Jiang Chan, possessed noble character and disdained worldly fame. She valued neither family background nor status in her choice. I returned to the day I accompanied her to select her husband with the embroidered ball. Just as in my past life, both noble sons and destitute beggars thronged before the embroidery tower of the Prime Minister's residence. The long street stretched for 10 li, packed so tightly not even a drop of water could pass. Surveying the teeming sea of heads, the air thick with stench, I couldn't help but frown, covering my nose with a handkerchief. My elder sister, however, remained unfazed. A gentle, serene smile graced her face as her gaze scanned the crowd meticulously, seeking someone who caught her eye. Finally, her eyes settled on a tall, imposing hunter with a dark complexion. The hunter, too, stared intently at my sister, his gaze unapologetic. My sister, blushing like a shy maiden, nudged me discreetly with her elbow and whispered, "Moore, what do you think of him?" Following her gaze, I blurted out instinctively, "No. As long as you like him, sister." Fortunately, my elder sister didn't notice my unusual reaction. Delighted, she tossed the embroidered ball precisely to the hunter. The hunter caught the ball, his face breaking into a triumphant smile. Yet, a wave of sighs and murmurs rippled through the crowd. I wiped the cold sweat from my forehead with my handkerchief. Thankfully, I hadn't repeated the foolish mistake of my past life. In my past life, when my elder sister held her embroidered tower matchmaking ceremony, she had asked me the same question. "Moore, what do you think of him?" Back then, I truly wanted what was best for her. She was a noble lady of the Prime Minister's household, while that man was merely a coarse hunter, a mismatched union that would bring shame upon the Prime Minister's family. If she were to marry him and he proved unworthy, regret would come too late. I failed to notice the blush of shyness on her young face and blurted out my refusal. "No, he's merely a hunter. You know nothing of his character. Marrying him would surely bring you hardship." My elder sister paid no heed to my words and threw the embroidered ball to the hunter anyway. After the crowd dispersed, I swiftly inquired about the hunter's character and background, discovering he was indeed no suitable match. I pleaded with her once more, "I hear the hunter has a foul temper, and besides, the mismatch in social standing means you'd inevitably suffer humiliation. Why not give him some money to buy out this marriage? He won't be able to say anything then." To my surprise, my elder sister merely gave me a cold glance and rebuked me. "What's wrong with a life of indifference to fame and fortune, like a cloud or a crane? Our grandfather was as clean as a whistle. If he were still alive, he would surely disapprove of your pursuit of fame and fortune, your climbing over others to get ahead." Hearing her words, I felt a pang of guilt and fell silent. Memories from my past life surged back like a flood. In that previous existence, my elder sister had resolved to embody her noble character and indifference to worldly gain to the very end. On her wedding day, she refused the lavish dowry her father had prepared. Climbing into a small sedan chair, she carried only a few changes of clothes and daily necessities to the hunter's home, not a single coin in her possession. 6 months later, through my father's arrangements, I too became betrothed to Prince Rui. The household began feverish preparations for my wedding. As the emperor's most favored son, Prince Rui's marriage demanded flawless execution. From daily utensils to wedding robes and phoenix crowns, only the finest materials were used. Gold, silver, jade, jadeite, and agate filled an entire storeroom. My wedding gown was made of shimmering brocade, embroidered with auspicious clouds and treasure flower patterns in gold thread. My hairpiece was adorned with jewels and pearls, its center set with a large, luminous pearl that shimmered with every movement. Every noble lady in the capital envied it. Joy filled the mansion, and my heart brimmed with anticipation. Amidst the busyness, no one in the mansion spoke of my elder sister anymore. I truly believed she had embraced the carefree life she had spoken of. Until 3 days before the wedding, when she suddenly returned. She wore coarse hemp garments, her hair disheveled. When she stood before me, I thought the steward had mistakenly let in a beggar. After divorcing the hunter and returning home, father inquired about the reason for the separation. My elder sister simply replied calmly, "Life has its own course. When things don't fit, we part ways." Father pondered deeply for a long time before sighing and leaving. My elder sister had always been serene and detached. Fearing she might have suffered injustice to choose divorce, I secretly sent someone to the hunter's village to investigate. What they discovered was astonishing. After marrying the hunter, my elder sister never once considered matters of livelihood. She lived like an immortal, leaving every household task, great and small, to the hunter. One day, the hunter and another hunter came into conflict. It began when the hunter was chasing an injured deer, which stumbled into a trap set by the other hunter. The other hunter arrived just then. The two hunters clashed over who should claim the deer, neither willing to yield. Finally, they agreed to split it. Just then, the eldest sister passed by, wrinkling her nose in disdain. "Why are you being so petty? It's just a deer. Give it to him." The hunter swallowed his resentment and relinquished the deer he chased for so long. The other hunter was deeply grateful to the eldest sister, praising her for her compassionate heart. Her reputation for noble character soon spread throughout the village. After that, villagers began coming to the hunter's home under various pretexts, asking for food. The eldest sister generously gave it away. After all, she didn't have to lift a finger, and she gained a good reputation in the process. Why not? But this left the hunter suffering. He toiled from dawn till dusk, yet never had enough to eat, his life growing increasingly desperate. One day, returning home hungry in the dark, he learned his sister-in-law had given the last piece of meat to the neighboring hunter. All his pent-up frustration erupted. That day, he struck his sister-in-law. The eldest sister could no longer maintain her composed facade and clamored for a divorce. Finding a wife was no easy feat for a hunter, and after much persuasion, he finally calmed her down. Until the eldest sister, on a sudden whim, decided to cook for the hunter, only to burn down his entire kitchen. His heart turned to ashes. He immediately sought out the scholar to draft divorce papers. On the day the eldest sister chose her husband through the embroidered ball ceremony, he had merely gone to join the festivities, never dreaming the eldest daughter of the prime minister's household would take a fancy to him. He'd assumed his status would rise accordingly, but to his surprise, the eldest sister, indifferent to fame and fortune, brought nothing with her. With the eldest sister's experience as a cautionary tale, the hunter later turned pale at the mere mention of marriage arrangements. Marrying the chancellor's daughter brought him nothing but losses. He ended up losing both his wife and his fortune. I even began to feel sympathy for him. On the eve of the wedding, Prince Rui suddenly paid a visit to the prime minister's residence, where he was received with the utmost hospitality. Music filled the air as cups clinked and toasts were exchanged. My usually aloof elder sister suddenly stepped forward in a pale green gauze gown, gliding to the center of the hall. She danced gracefully to the music. When the dance ended, the entire hall erupted in applause, praise ringing out ceaselessly. Prince Rui's gaze seemed fixed upon her, never wavering from her for a single moment. That night, they shared a bed. When she was discovered lying in bed with Prince Rui, she remained serene and composed. I had never wronged her, on the contrary, I always put her first. Yet now she sought to steal my fiancé. Like a drowning fish, my eyes reddened with tears as I confronted her. Why? Why do this? What is yours, no one can take. What is not yours, do not force. Her casual remark plunged me into an abyss. With so many eyes watching, news of my elder sister and Prince Rui inevitably spread. First, she became the capital's gossip fodder over her divorce. Next, she was sleeping with Prince Rui. The family's reputation was utterly ruined by that cold-as chrysanthemum elder sister. Amidst the glow of red candles and warm canopies, Prince Rui insisted on granting my elder sister the position of principal wife. The next day, adorned in a phoenix crown and bridal robes, she entered the Prince Rui's residence in a grand, 8-man palanquin. I, however, became a secondary wife, entering through a side gate in a small palanquin. 3 months of tireless preparation, only to ultimately serve as her wedding gown. Before my departure, father specifically instructed me to get along well with my elder sister and look out for each other. Resentment swelled within me, and I had no intention of agreeing. But gazing upon father's weathered face, I ultimately couldn't bring myself to refuse and consented. The Prince Rui's mansion was never a peaceful place. Even before taking a wife, he had 3 concubines. After my elder sister and I entered the mansion, he hastily elevated them to the status of secondary wives, showing no regard for my elder sister's dignity. Fortunately, my elder sister is as serene as a chrysanthemum. She neither seeks control over household affairs nor vies for favor with the concubines, which has actually piqued Prince Rui's interest in her. Yet with so many concubines in the Prince Rui's mansion, she has already made numerous enemies. Though I am one of Prince Rui's concubines, I have always attended to my elder sister's daily needs, one might even call me her personal maid. Even though resentment toward my elder sister burned within me, in this ruthless Prince Rui's residence that devoured its victims whole, she remained my only anchor. Our fortunes were intertwined, her well-being was mine. After Prince Rui lost interest in her, I mediated between them, shielding her from open and hidden attacks. Life remained manageable. Until the Prime Minister's family fell from grace. Without our patron, our situation grew far more precarious. Anyone who saw us felt compelled to trample us underfoot. Within these high walls, survival demanded capturing Prince Rui's heart. Even as our footing in the mansion grew treacherous, she remained serene as a chrysanthemum, unassuming, uncontested, unhurried. I could only scheme for her, painstakingly creating opportunities for her to meet the prince. After much effort, the prince finally entered her courtyard with a hint of guilt. Before he could offer any kindness, she coldly remarked, "Your Highness need not visit my courtyard out of guilt. Follow your heart." This sent the prince into a rage, and he stormed off to Zhao Yueru's courtyard. I secretly cursed her for her lack of ambition. Since that was the case, I would have to climb the ladder myself, it amounted to the same thing. Zhao Yueru, basking in her current favor, saw my lack of support and plotted to frame me. She hid the jade bracelet Prince Rui had given her under my pillow. But that day, I hadn't been in the courtyard at all. Instead, I had gone with my elder sister to the eastern pond to gather lotus seeds. Prince Rui was a tyrant. If I couldn't prove my innocence, I would be beaten to death. Forced to kneel in the main hall, I crawled toward my elder sister seated at the head of the table, sobbing. If only she would say she was with me yesterday, I wouldn't have to die. But she brushed my hand away. Justice lies in the hearts of the people. If you did nothing wrong, they won't trouble you. My heart turned to ashes, and I was ultimately tortured to death. Thankfully, heaven took pity and granted me a second chance. My thoughts returned, yet I remained unsettled for a long time. I wonder if, after my death in my previous life, my elder sister truly lived up to her persona, one of indifference to fame and fortune, as serene as water. In my previous life, after the Prime Minister's household fell from grace, I had one chance to escape the prison, but I gave it up for my elder sister. This time around, I will plan for myself and change the fate of the Prime Minister's household. As for my elder sister, I have no time to concern myself with her this lifetime. Whether she maintains her noble integrity or remains as detached as a chrysanthemum, it has nothing to do with me. After marrying the hunter as in my past life, I recounted my rebirth to father. He was skeptical at first, but after I accurately predicted several events, he believed me. Through father's connections, I reached out to Princeton. In my previous life, I died young, never learning whether he or Prince Rui ultimately prevailed in the succession struggle. But I knew he was pivotal to altering the fate of the Prime Minister's household and my own. The Prime Minister's downfall was undoubtedly intertwined with Prince Rui. Yet back then, I was trapped within the high walls of the mansion. Before gathering any useful clues, I was tortured to death. To avoid alerting the snake and unsure if I was the only one reborn, I followed the same path as before and agreed to a marriage alliance with Prince Rui. Events unfolded along the same trajectory as my past life. My elder sister also divorced and returned to the mansion 3 days before my wedding. Only, on the eve of the wedding, a tiny pinch of castor bean was slipped into her wine cup. She never danced to the music. After the banquet concluded and Prince Rui departed, my elder sister didn't even get to see him this time. I finally donned the wedding gown I'd longed for in my previous life, yet the anticipation I once felt was gone. For I knew I was stepping into a den of dragons and tigers. One misstep, and I'd shatter into pieces just like last time. After my marriage into Prince Rui's household, father began arranging a new match for my elder sister. Alas, as a woman who had been married before, she had lost the aura of noble virtue. No matter how serene and unassuming she appeared, the young masters of distinguished families kept their distance. Even the sons of fifth-rank officials refused to come forward to propose marriage to her. She was no longer the noble lady destined to be a wife. If she couldn't be the main wife, then she could only be a concubine. After much deliberation, father sent her to the Prince Rui's mansion as a secondary wife. If my elder sister had also been reborn, I wonder what she would have thought upon learning that what was a wife in her past life had become a concubine in this one. Would she be indifferent to fame and fortune, or filled with resentment? Yet on the day she entered the mansion, I saw no trace of emotion on her face. As always, she was dead calm, neither striving nor competing. If she could embody as indifferent as a chrysanthemum to the very end, then in this life, I would practice respecting others' destinies to the utmost. This time, I am the rightful mistress of Prince Rui's mansion, firmly holding the reins of household management. Those sordid struggles will never touch me. But my chaste elder sister, that chaste as a chrysanthemum, is different. Even as Prince Rui's concubine, she still prides herself on noble integrity. She appears unassuming and uncontested, yet in reality, she looks down on everyone equally. Behind her lofty facade, she has already made numerous enemies. To her, the rivalries among the other concubines vying for favor are nothing but the antics of clowns. In hopes of earning a sliver of the prince's affection, the other concubines dress daily like peacocks displaying their plumage. They sing and dance wherever the prince passes, desperate to carve out a place in his heart. But the legitimate sister took an unconventional path. She disdained such vying for favor, instead wandering the Prince Rui's estate daily, immutably clad in white. On more than one occasion, servants passing by thought they'd seen a ghost in broad daylight, nearly scared out of their wits. Over time, the servants grew accustomed to her presence. Yet whenever they passed by, they would habitually whisper under their breath, "Divine gold." Prince Rui, ever the romantic and fickle soul, had long been immersed in the world of painted courtesans. Yet, he found himself intrigued by the detached and serene eldest sister. This development, however, sparked Zhao Yueru's discontent. After all, Prince Rui had once favored her above all others. Now, not only had the eldest sister stolen his affection, but she was even beginning to rival her in influence. Zhao Yueru felt as if facing a formidable enemy. Within these high walls, the concubines could only survive by clinging to Prince Rui's favor. Whoever held his affection commanded influence among them. Seeing the legitimate sister rise in his esteem, Zhao Yueru could not sit idly by. I watched calmly as she schemed right under my nose, step by step setting traps for my elder sister, luring her into the snare. To secure her favor, Zhao Yueru consumed vast quantities of the skin-restoring pills, rendering her skin whiter than snow and her eyes as bright as stars, ensuring her enduring favor. Yet the greatest danger of the skin-restoring pills was that they made conception difficult for women. Even if pregnancy occurred by chance, miscarriage would follow within 3 months. The child growing within Zhao Yueru was destined never to be born. This was Prince Rui's first child. When the imperial physician confirmed her pregnancy, the prince's joy was palpable, and he showered her with every conceivable care. After a month of abstinence, he could bear it no longer and sought out his elder sister's quarters. A night of passion unfolded beneath the warm glow of red candles and the soft embrace of the bed curtains. The next day, a massive Eastern pearl and a casket filled with gold, silver, jade, and precious stones were delivered to the eldest sister's chambers. I kept a watchful eye on everything within Prince Rui's residence. As the principal wife, I managed the affairs of the inner quarters for Prince Rui. Even though he held no affection for me, he accorded me the respect due to my position. The struggle for supremacy raged on. Who would ultimately prevail? Compared to my past life, the eldest sister seemed increasingly unable to contain her impatience. The arrogance born of privilege began to surface in her vulgar manner, though she concealed it well. To project an image of quiet grace, she sent the pearl and the entire box of gold, silver, and jade to Zhao Yueru's quarters. Later, she ordered Xiao Chui to deliver a bowl of ginseng soup to her, already acting as if she were the true mistress of the Rui prince's mansion. She believed such gestures would earn Zhao Yueru's gratitude, unaware that she had long been the object of Zhao Yueru's envy. Step by step, she was falling into the trap meticulously laid for her by Zhao Yueru. She recalled her past life. Upon learning of Zhao Yueru's pregnancy, her elder sister had instructed her to deliver a nourishing ginseng soup to Zhao Yueru, along with a jade bracelet as a token of her magnanimity as the mistress of the house. That very night, however, Zhao Yueru had bled heavily and lost the child. Weeping and wailing, Zhao Yueru pointed the finger at my elder sister as the poisoner in every word and implication. Seeing Zhao Yueru's weakened state, Prince Rui was naturally filled with pity. He ordered a search of my elder sister's chambers. Sure enough, safflower was discovered there, and the ginseng soup Zhao Yueru had drunk that day also contained large quantities of safflower. Despite the irrefutable evidence, the elder sister maintained an air of detached indifference, appearing as calm and unperturbed as could be. Consumed by grief over his lost child, the Prince of Rui, his eyes red, demanded why she would harm Zhao Yueru's unborn child. I expected the eldest sister to defend herself, to urge the Prince of Rui to investigate properly. But unexpectedly, she flatly declared, "I know nothing of why safflower was in that ginseng soup. It was brewed by my younger sister, it has nothing to do with me." I begged my elder sister to prove my innocence, but she replied, "If it wasn't me, and it wasn't you, then could it be that Sister Rui harmed herself?" Tears welled in my eyes as I looked at her in anguish. She frowned, pushed me away with disgust, and said, "Even a tiger doesn't eat its own cubs. I believe Sister Rui would never harm her own child to frame me." That day, I was nearly beaten to death. Only when Prince scaled the wall and found me half dead in the woodshed, bringing medicine to treat my wounds, was my life barely saved. Then, he asked me, would I go with him, to escape further harm? A spark ignited within me, only to be extinguished instantly. Thinking of my elder sister still in the mansion, I ultimately refused Prince An's offer. That night, after drinking the ginseng broth, Zhao Yu's lower abdomen began throbbing. Soon after, blood appeared. The servants scrambled to find Prince Rui, who hastily dispatched messengers to the palace for the imperial physician. The entire household descended into chaos. As the matriarch, I naturally took charge. Zhao Yueru's face was as pale as paper, cold sweat pouring down her forehead from the pain. Sitting on a stool, I held her hand, directing the servants to bring hot water while reassuring her that Prince Rui would return with the imperial physician soon. I urged her not to lose consciousness. Zhao Yueru changed nightgowns one after another, forcing herself to stay awake through my endless chatter. Finally, at a loss for words, I said, "Jiang Chan personally stewed ginseng soup for you today and even went to the Buddhist hall to pray for the safety of your unborn child." Yet, unexpectedly, before I could finish, she suddenly found strength from somewhere, gripping my wrists so tightly it hurt. Gritting her teeth, she spat out, "I will have her cut into 1,000 pieces." Just as I finished speaking, the imperial physician summoned by Prince Rui hurriedly arrived. Leaving Zhao Yueru's courtyard, I could no longer suppress the smile curling my lips. This lifetime, without me taking the fall, could my elder sister remain as composed as she did in my past life when framed? Faced with irrefutable evidence, how would she handle herself? Just like before, she had cultivated her image as someone as cool and detached as a chrysanthemum. In the main hall, my elder sister knelt straight in her white robes. Prince Rui sat at the head, his face dark, holding a packet of saffron as he demanded, "Why was saffron found in your chambers?" My elder sister's expression remained serene, her reply mirroring the one from my previous life, only this time, the target of the frame-up was not me, but Xiao Chui. This servant knows not why saffron was in the ginseng broth. It was prepared by my personal maid and has nothing to do with me. With that single, weightless sentence, she had sealed Xiao Chui's fate. Xiao Chui knelt, weeping, and bowed her head again and again. "This servant is innocent. This servant is innocent." Yet the eldest sister's gaze remained as unyielding as rock, utterly unmoved, completely disregarding the 16 years Xiao Chui had spent cautiously and diligently serving her. Only when Xiao Chui's forehead was bloodied and mangled, and Prince Rui ordered her dragged away to be beaten to death with clubs, did Zhao Yueru speak up to stop him. "Your Highness, my maid Xiao Yao can testify for Xiao Chui." These words stirred a flicker of emotion across the eldest sister's previously composed face. Xiao Yao knelt before the hall and recounted the events in meticulous detail. The ginseng broth was personally prepared by consort Jiang in the kitchen. This servant witnessed it with her own eyes. "You." The eldest sister's face flushed crimson, yet she ultimately found no words to retort. After all, she had brewed the ginseng soup herself. She'd intended to use this opportunity to gain favor, but never expected to be outmaneuvered. She painstakingly shifted the blame onto Xiao Chui, only for the boomerang to come back and catch her completely off guard. Her eyes instinctively sought mine, hoping I would vouch for her innocence. The moment our gazes met, I swiftly averted my eyes. Truth be told, she wasn't truly as serene as a chrysanthemum. When the whip struck her own flesh, she knew how to fight back. In both past and present lives, she knew she'd been framed, yet preferred to shift blame rather than defend herself. Not because she was truly detached, but because, in her eyes, others' lives were worthless as dust. As long as she avoided karma and preserved her facade, whether people lived or died was none of her concern. Her detachment stemmed from cold-bloodedness. When Prince Rui questioned her about harming Zhao Riyue, she resumed her detached demeanor, convinced this would keep him under her thumb. She believed he would uncover the truth even without her confession. Prince Rui did harbor some affection for her and was willing to grant her a chance to explain, softening his tone as much as possible. "Jiang Chan, why did you poison the ginseng soup with safflower to cause Yuer's miscarriage?" Her eldest sister lifted her gaze to meet the prince's stare, then replied, "If your highness holds such suspicion against me, I have no defense." Crash! Enraged, the prince snatched up the teacup and hurled it at her feet. The cup shattered, tea splashing onto her white robe. The stain spread instantly, stark and conspicuous. Realizing Prince Rui was truly enraged this time, the eldest sister finally felt fear. Tears welled in her eyes as she shook her head. "I only brewed the ginseng soup. I did not add safflower. Your Highness, someone framed me." With that, tears streamed down her face. Seeing her like this for the first time stirred a pang of pity in Prince Rui, making him willing to expend extra effort to uncover the truth. He intended to let her rise and return to her chambers to rest. But Zhao Yueru suddenly clutched her chest, her face turning deathly pale as she grimaced and moaned pitifully, "Your Highness, Yueru's heart aches terribly," as if a knife were twisting inside. Prince Rui could no longer spare a thought for his eldest sister still kneeling on the ground. He hurriedly picked her up and carried her back to her chambers, sending someone to fetch the estate physician. By all accounts, Zhao Yueru's tactics proved more effective. Such methods were beyond her grasp. She deemed them too base, unworthy of her status as the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's household. Yet as fellow legitimate daughters of the Prime Minister's household, in my past life I toiled like a beast of burden for her sake, bound by shared honor and disgrace. If my elder sister suffered in Prince Rui's mansion, my own days knew no peace. I never imagined she could be so utterly cold-hearted. Beyond herself, she cared not for blood ties or the future of the Prime Minister's household. Thankfully, heaven forgave my foolishness from my past life and granted me a second chance. This time, I would seize it firmly. Yet it was precisely after this false accusation that my elder sister grasped the importance of power. She sought me out, looking down on me as she declared, "Jiang Mu, the position of principal wife in Prince Rui's mansion was stolen by you. You are unworthy of it. I'm no pushover to be pushed around. I slapped her across the face and retorted, still dreaming of being the main wife? Now I'm the mistress of the house and you're the concubine. Whether I deserve it or not is none of your business. My elder sister covered her face, eyes wide with disbelief. It took her a long time to regain her composure. You hit me? She still couldn't fathom that I'd actually struck her. To drive the point home, I slapped her again. This time she believed it. She fell silent. Much later, she brought up our grandfather, who had passed away 10 years ago, her eyes filled with sorrow. If grandfather were still alive, he's dead. His bones have turned to dust. I delivered the truth without mercy. She froze, her eyes filled with terror. Back in the Prime Minister's residence, my elder sister had always looked down on me. She enjoyed the value I provided while despising my coarseness. All because she emulated our grandfather, pretending to be as serene as a chrysanthemum, detached and transcendent. In life, grandfather possessed nothing but a few ounces of scholarly ink in his belly. Yet he held himself in lofty esteem, crafting an image of himself as detached from worldly desires, as serene as a chrysanthemum. Naturally, he looked down upon grandmother, who had never learned to read or write. But lacking any trait of his own, he deemed copying books beneath him and could only depend on grandmother for survival. By day, grandmother laundered clothes for others, by night, she embroidered by lamplight. Through her diligence, she finally secured a minor official post for grandfather. Once he held office, grandfather looked down on grandmother even more. Outwardly, he appeared upright and detached, but within the household, he oppressed her in every way. Fortunately, my father proved his worth. Witnessing his grandmother's suffering, he burned the midnight oil, studying relentlessly until he passed the imperial examinations as top scholar. In her twilight years, my grandmother's life was illuminated. From then on, my father's career flourished like a sesame plant, climbing steadily until he reached the position of chancellor. When I was 7 and my elder sister was 8, our grandfather passed away. I breathed a sigh of relief, for he often scolded me for my coarse manners and gluttony, tarnishing his reputation for serene transcendence. But my elder sister was different. Clad in mourning robes, she knelt before grandfather's coffin, tears streaming down her cheeks. Those who came to pay their respects praised her, saying she possessed the same serene, otherworldly grace as our grandfather. From then on, she cultivated the persona of being as serene as a chrysanthemum. I, however, became her foil, her contrast. Recalling these events, anger flared within me. I seized her jaw and warned her, if you ever put on airs in front of me again, Honglu Manor will be your final resting place. My elder sister fled in terror, shedding every trace of her chrysanthemum-like demeanor. I didn't see my elder sister again for a long time, nor did I have the leisure to inquire about her whereabouts. After all, I had more pressing matters to attend to. Prince sent word that clues had emerged regarding the downfall of the Prime Minister's household in my previous life. Following the faintest of leads, we uncovered the mastermind behind it all. Prince Rui. Prince Rui squandered wealth like water, ruled with brutal arrogance, and secretly engaged in every form of oppression and exploitation. To squeeze every last drop from the people, he extended his blackened hands into places beyond the reach of imperial authority. His methods were vicious and sordid, his crimes too numerous to list. The capital's grandest pleasure estate, Honglu Yuan, was his domain, a den of iniquity used to bribe high-ranking officials. Princeton and I plotted countermeasures, yet I never forgot to inform father of the entire affair, urging him to exercise utmost caution. On a pitch-black, wind-swept night, Princeton knocked on my window. We slipped into the bamboo grove behind the courtyard. He removed his face covering and told me gravely, lately, I dream night after night of our family being branded traitors. Our estate is ransacked, over 300 clan members beheaded. Flames fill the sky, a blood mist shrouding the heavens. My heart clenched violently. This could very well be the final fate of the Prime Minister's household. I tried desperately to steady myself, but my body still trembled slightly. Noticing my distress, Princeton offered comfort, it's only a dream. No. I shook my head, staring into his eyes as I said, I have been reborn. A flicker of disbelief crossed his eyes before they settled back into calmness. He murmured softly, I believe you. In the bamboo grove, piecing together the gathered evidence and the content of Prince N's dream, everything became clear. The truth surfaced. In my past life, simply because father refused to join them in their heinous deeds, he was framed and impeached by a group of treacherous officials led by Prince Rui. Father's official rank was demoted repeatedly until he was swiftly marginalized and driven to ruin. After Prince Rui ascended the throne, his first act was to eliminate Prince N. He then framed my father for treason, ordering the execution of over 300 members of the Prime Minister's household. What made my eyes bulge with rage was that my eldest sister, who always presented herself as pure as a chrysanthemum, fabricated evidence of my father's rebellion to secure her own position. She hid these fabricated proofs in a secret compartment of my father's study. For her own selfish gain, she disregarded the lives of over 300 souls. This debt, I shall settle with my elder sister. 1,000 cuts would not suffice to appease the people's fury. In this lifetime, Prince Rui has already begun plotting in secret. Fortunately, there is still time. Prince N secretly gathered evidence of Prince Rui's persecution of the people and slaughter of loyal officials. As the matriarch of Prince Rui's household, I meticulously examined every ledger and finally uncovered a crucial clue. The expenditures recorded in the shop's accounts bore no resemblance to the actual outlays. After half a month of relentless surveillance, I followed the trail and uncovered Prince Rui's greatest secret: maintaining a private army. This single piece of evidence alone could condemn Prince Rui to eternal disgrace. It is true that Prince Rui is the Emperor's most favored son. Yet the Emperor is now in the prime of his life, brimming with energy. Prince Rui's actions clearly signal his intent to raise an army, rebel, and overthrow the dynasty. He cannot even wait for the Emperor's abdication. Prince Rui has coveted the throne for far too long. Since learning Prince Rui's secret, I'd come to see his mansion as a vast prison. Every step felt like walking on thin ice, fearing a single misstep would shatter me into pieces, and dreading there'd be no second chance. After handing all the evidence to Prince N, the taut string in my mind snapped. At last, I could sleep soundly. As time passed, Prince Rui returned to his residence later and later each night, his aura growing increasingly dark and menacing. He would never achieve his ambitions as he had in the previous life. Whatever he attempted, Prince N would secretly thwart him. Prince Rui, already arrogant and overbearing, soon lost his composure, revealing his true colors. Prince N followed his every move, meticulously gathering evidence of his treason. The influential ministers he had courted in the previous life, whether through persuasion or threats, remained largely neutral toward Prince Rui in this lifetime, thanks to Prince N's diplomatic maneuvering. Even the Grand Minister of Agriculture and the General of the Flying Cavalry, who had been Prince Rui's greatest allies in the past, remained unmoved by his attempts to win them over this time. Prince Rui's malevolence grew ever more intense. Each time he returned to his residence, I could almost see the dark aura swirling around him. As the rebellion date set by Li Ding drew nearer, Prince Rui finally set his sights on Zhao Leoi, the wealthiest man in Yongzhou. Master Zhao possessed unimaginable wealth, yet his sole indulgence was a predilection for other men's wives, a vice shrouded in unspeakable secrets. Returning to his residence, Prince Rui vented his frustrations in his elder sister's quarters. But after barely half an incense stick's time, he emerged with a grim expression. That very night, the elder sister was bound and gagged, then delivered to Master Zhao's residence. Half a month later, she returned. Her face bore a large, seared slave character. Her clothing barely covered her body, and her skin was strewn with vivid, terrifying whip marks. Some areas were burned so severely they had bled open, creating gaping holes, a truly horrifying sight. Where was even a shred of the eldest daughter's former grace? I sighed, what a pity. Such a fine shell ruined. The eldest sister glared at me with venomous eyes, babbling incoherently. I crouched down, pinched her jaw, and discovered her mouth was hollow, her tongue was long gone. Suddenly, it all felt pointless. I ordered her dragged to the woodshed and had food brought to keep her alive. She couldn't die yet. At my signal, Zhao Yueru teased my elder sister daily like she was amusing a dog. Unable to bear the humiliation, she attempted suicide several times, only to be rescued each time, forced to cling to a miserable existence. Prince Rui's situation was scarcely better. When he learned the plot had been exposed and his crimes laid bare before the emperor by Prince N, he became desperate and attempted a coup. Before he could reach the emperor's chambers, Prince Rui captured him. The emperor, utterly disillusioned with Prince Rui, stripped him of his title, exiling him to a harsh, frigid land. Fortunately, the emperor's mercy spared Prince Rui's household, family, and servants, permitting us to live out our days in peace within the mansion. Yet for Prince Rui himself, such punishment felt far too lenient. No sooner had the prison cart rolled through the city gates than a group of black-clad men snatched him away. When Prince Rui saw me again, all traces of his former regal bearing had vanished. Like a stray dog, he lay prostrate on the ground, weeping bitterly and begging for mercy. Yet the mere memory of his brutal treatment in my past life sent shivers down my spine. Scene after scene, memory after memory, flooded my mind. In my previous life, I too had begged him for mercy like a stray dog. Yet he treated me like a plaything, branding me with a red-hot iron tongs to leave a mark of shame. Later, he had me bound to a wooden bed, my face covered with oiled paper, then teased me by lightly brushing a feather against the soles of my feet. Unable to breathe or break free, I could only feel my body shatter inch by inch. I begged him to end it quickly, but he found me too noisy. He seized a burning coal with the tongs, forced my jaws open, and shoved it down my throat. The searing agony made me writhe in torment on the floor. The coal scorched my throat and seared through my other organs. In the end, I could only watch in utter despair as my body rotted away, piece by piece. The despair and agony I endured in my past life, he deserved to taste them in this one. When Prince Rui was hoisted upside down into an oil vat by two burly men, his limbs flailed like a drowning fish. Yet watching this scene brought me immense satisfaction. Finally, I ordered him bound to a cross, stripped of his prison garb, and personally pressed a red-hot iron tongs against his chest. The agony silenced him, his entire being contorted into a hideous, terrifying grimace. I felt an extraordinary sense of relief wash over me. The subsequent tortures mirrored those he had inflicted upon me in his past life, meting out suffering with even greater cruelty. By the time it was all over, he had been reduced beyond recognition, lying on the ground like a filthy, stinking rag. I intended for him to experience, as I had in my former life, the agony of watching himself rot away bit by bit, dying in utter despair. When I returned to the Prince Rui's residence, my elder sister breathed her last breath during Zhao Yuanyu's final taunting. Watching the sunlight spill inch by inch across the courtyard, the gloom in my heart slowly dissipated. As I gathered the gold, silver, and valuables and stepped out the gates of the Prince Rui's residence, I saw Prince Rui standing outside. I watched him silently. His face was handsome, his figure tall and graceful. Sunlight fell upon him, making his purple-gold robes shimmer and sparkle, as if he were an immortal cast down from the heavens. The light of day shifted, and all things seemed lovely. A smile lingered in his eyes as he extended his hand to me. "Ah Mu, let's go home." The end.